You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
So let's talk about smart trainers. My history with smart trainers and indoor trainers in general started off with the Fluid 2 trainer from Cyclops. I went through 2 or 3 of those, breaking seals and leaking oil all over the floor. That was probably 10, 15 years ago now. Moving on to the Kurt Kinetic, a sealed unit, wasn't too bad, fluid trainer as well. Onto the Le Mans Revolution, which I still own, really good trainer. And then the Kicker, the Neo, and quite a few in between. I've got a list here that I'm reading through. Hundreds of hours spent on those trainers using products like Carmichael Training Systems, the CTS videos, Coach Troy and his Spinnable series, Sufferfest, even did my Sufferfest Knighthood, the 10 hours indoors, Trainer Road, Perf Pro, Golden Cheetah, Full Gas, and KinoMap. I won a world challenge with KinoMap last year. We did 2 or 3 stage races with that, with our kickers, all certified heart rate monitors and all the verification things. Look, when the Kicker first came out, I hated it. I'll be honest, I hated the Kicker. It told me what to do rather than me choosing what to do on it. It didn't have the same feel as the Le Mans. So I thought, what the hell? I've spent all this money on such a nice smart trainer, and the feeling and the experience was pretty crappy. A few years ago now, but I kept it because I knew the technology. My background is IT security, networking, computers, and everything like that. So I knew the potential that the Kicker had, but it wasn't unlocked until these third-party software developers came along and really unlocked the potential of what the unit can actually do. So back onto smart trainers. Their idea is to replicate real world as best as possible. Eddie Merckx said, if you want to get better at riding bikes, ride bikes. And a good coach will tell you, if you want to get better at riding hills, ride more hills. You want to get better at sprinting, do sprinting. So bringing that indoors, you want the experience indoors and the feeling and the stimulus indoors to be exactly the same as riding outdoors, or as close as possible. Now, I'll tell you, quite a few trainers get close and quite a few trainers get nowhere near where they need to be. My analogy will be, if you want to drive a family sedan, go down to the street, buy a 4-door family sedan, drive from A to B. The experience will be about the same in every range of car you buy. It's all about the same. On the indoor trainers, using different indoor trainers, the experience can be as different as driving a Ferrari versus a golf cart. And I'm not joking. There's such a gap there between how they actually operate. So let me go through why this is the case and why this is important these days. Look, in the last 1 or 2 years, the use of smart trainers has really, really changed. We're using them now more dynamically than ever. We'll be doing attacks, sprints, surges, holding wheels, using them in more of an analog way rather than a digital way that they were sort of designed to do initially. Replicating real world scenarios for steady state intervals is easy. Set it at 300 watts, 400 watts, away you go, bring it down, recover, up you go. A very digital way of doing things. Nowadays, we're using them so dynamically in racing. I mean, we're racing our friends now. We're racing. There's competitions. There's real world competitions indoors. The demands we're placing on these units are not what they're designed to do. I'll readily admit that. They're not designed to do what we're using them for. The Kicker itself must be 4 to 5 years old. The Neo itself, even though it's new to the market in the last year, I can guarantee you 2 to 3 years of design that's gone into that. The software we're now using is only 12 months old, maybe 2 years in the making. So there's a bit of a time gap there between when this hardware was designed and thought about and QA'd, I guess, and the software we're now using. And the software is updating daily. So our smart trainers don't. There's a few smart trainers that have nailed it, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Look, my reviews and my opinions are different to DC Rainmakers in the way that DC Rainmaker will present what a unit is, what it does, the technical specifications, and the general unboxing, the noise, and all the components of the unit. What I like to cover is the touchy-feely stuff. What DC Rainmaker does admit to not covering. He doesn't cover the touchy-feely stuff. The reason being it's a whole can of worms, and everyone's opinion's a little bit different, but I'll present that. I've got enough background, and with my background in indoor training for the last 10 or 15 years and using so many different models, I will present you that and what they feel like. For example, when I first got the Neo trainer, I thought I'd had a lemon unit. The way I was using it, steady state just fine, it was nice and quiet. However, during sprinting and hill attacks and really aggressive use, pushing the thing to 1200, 1300 watts in certain spikes, it would just fall over. The thing would not fall over as such, but it just would not respond in the way I expected it to respond. Again, as I said, steady state, fine. Your digital, just fine. When you really gave it the beans and you really wanted to make it up and down and use it in a dynamic way, it was absolutely crap. Now, DC Rainmaker doesn't cover this sort of stuff, but I spent 2 whole days researching this, speaking to a couple of high profile athletes who do have these, and they experience the same issue as well. Tacx have jumped on the case, have released a beta firmware for us to test. It's a little better. Well, it's a lot better. Just goes to show though that these units, the way we're pushing them really keeps the manufacturers on their toes. They've got to have a good product, and some of their older products just do not hold up to the way I expect a smart trainer to operate with the new software we're using these days. Another example of this is Wahoo have only just released in the last few months a firmware update for the Kicker that responds to accelerations and reports power accelerations and gives a better overall experience when we're using them in a more dynamic way than they were first designed to do. So again, kudos to Wahoo for actually releasing that and having a unit that can update and adapt to that the new demands we're placing on them. But just they were very lucky in that respect that the unit is quite old. 3 or 4 years in technology is a long time. So in summary, smart trainers, they are not all equal. They are all very different. The price point doesn't mean a lot when it comes to what you want to use it for. You really have to do your homework. DC Rainmaker, have a look at my vlogs, ask questions below. Happy to help out. The way I use my trainers is really, really dynamic. We're racing, we're absolutely ripping the heads off these things, and some hold up a lot better than others. So stay tuned, subscribe, and we'll cover a lot more in the future. Thanks for watching.
Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns.